Hey guys, John and I are here tonight to do week 28, season 2 game day pick'ems. Hey guys, welcome back in. It's Brad with College SportsCast. I have Hammonds on with me tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, dude?
It is March, man. It's March.
It seems like, it's took forever. We've been waiting all the way up since October for this day, and it's finally here, and we're excited about it.
It is March 1st, guys. So I want to start the show out. First, I want to say over in the comments, you can look it up. You can support us by sending stars. Any stars that you send will help us make more content. We would appreciate any support that you can give us. This is for Facebook. If you are on Facebook and following us on Facebook, you can send stars on Facebook. All right, welcome into College Sportscast. This is our Game Day Pick'em show. We do this each and every week throughout the season. This is week 28. We start out with football. We are now well into the basketball season, getting close to the end here. Like I said, this is March. Something that I found out today that is very exciting. Starting on Monday, each day, Home Field Apparel is going to have a brand new drop leading up to Selection Sunday.
That's awesome.
Every single day, they're going to have a new drop of new stuff, or you can get a mystery bag one day. There is something new every single day, starting Monday all the way through Selection Sunday, March 17th. All right. So use our code CSCAST if you're a first-time buyer with Home Field Apparel, and you can pick up some really, really cool new gear. It starts out on Monday. They're doing a 1979 collection with Magic and Bird. It's going to be a brand new drop. It's going to be lit. Check it out. And then one day, like 3 or 4 days in, John, they're doing a Phi Slamma Jamma, brand new shirt.
I already got one of those. So
yeah, but I think this is a new drop, I think, as well. So they're doing something every single day. It's all basketball, March Madness related. So check that out. I thought that would be something cool to bring up tonight. And then John and I wanted to do a little bit of section. We've been talking about some girls, high school girls that I coached when they were in middle school. They went to the Final Four last Wednesday night. This Wednesday night, this 2 nights ago, they went to the Final Four in Birmingham, Alabama. This is the Gulf Shores team. They made it all the way to the 5A Final Four. The first time that Gulf Shores had ever made it to the Final Four. Unfortunately, they did not win the game. They lost the game. They did not get to go. They made it to the state semifinals.
That's tough.
All the way to the Final Four. And I am very, very proud of my girls. I've got to give a huge shout out to Maya Griffin, Maggie Myers, and Alyssa Thompson. They are 3 of the girls. I coached boys and girls AAU middle school ball when I was in Gulf Shores, Alabama. This is 3 of the girls that I coached, and They have stuck together all these years, and they've 6 times straight they have won their area. It's called, instead of here, it's called districts in Kentucky and stuff, but there it's called area. 6 straight years these girls have helped win their area championship. They have made it to the Elite Eight once before, and then this year they made it all the way to the state Final Four. So I just want to give a huge shout out to my girls. And then John has some news with his niece.
Well, she ain't my niece; she's my baby cousin. But I've always looked up to her as my little sister because she was the first girl in the family, the first grandchild, um, first girl, and I've always looked up to her. I've always been like a big brother to her. And they won their 51st district last night. They beat Pineville. I can't remember the score offhand. It was double digits, I know. And the other girl that is on the team, Hallie Collins, she's a really good friend of mine. She's like another baby sis to me. All those girls, Jalen Fain, Kelsey Smith, Maggie, all them girls, they're really good kids. They play hard every single night. They find out who they play this week in the morning, actually. They find out who they play in the regionals next week at the Corbin Arena. Great group of kids. They play the game the right way. I'm going to be honest with you. They've already beat North Laurel this past year. So, and North Laurel is probably one of the top teams in the 13th region. And listen, that girls race is wide open, to be honest. Anybody can win it. You know, there's South, there's Knox Central, there's North. We have as good a chance as anybody to go this year. I just want to give a shout out to them. Timberly Frederick, that's the girl that that's the niece that you was talking about. She's not my niece, she's my cousin, but I've looked at her like a little sis. I've always
get that wrong.
I've always been proud of her. She's always been my number one fan. I've always thought the world of her, and she's always going to be number one in my life. And shout out to her and what she's accomplished. And Hallie Collins won 13th Region Player of the Year. I think that was announced this morning. So shout out to her too. Great group of girls, great team.
Maggie Myers won the regional Player of the Year for mine as well. So I mean, these girls, Maggie's are Maya Griffin, I said, won the regional, not Maggie. Maya won the regional Player of the Year for Gulf Shores. She is signed to go to Coastal Alabama to play college ball. I'm hoping that the other girls can do a little bit and do some of that as well and play.
You know,
Maya's going to be my fourth girl that's currently playing college ball.
And that's like I said, you know, I know we cover all areas like college football, college basketball, college baseball, but I think these girls and some of these kids, and actually the boys won tonight, the 51st District Central, they won by 1 on a late in the game. I think these kids deserve a little love and a lot of respect because they put in a lot of work, and especially Les Dixon. I don't know if anybody knows him, but he has a big 13th region network that he does. He does a really good job with that, and he's over a lot of the regionals next week. So shout out to him. He does a really good job with that, especially when he goes to the state tournament. So these kids need some recognition. They don't get it a lot, and I know we're more of a national in terms
just
of
doing a quick little shout out here to these kids.
And maybe next year we can implement a little bit more high school circuit stuff because next year Timberly and that group there'll be a bunch of seniors, and I'd like to do a little bit with them next year as going out because I think they deserve that because she's a really good shooter. Her mother was a really good shooter. My cousin Tab, she could play ball too. Her sister played as well, Tiff. So we're a ball family in our family. I played ball. I was more on the lazy side compared to them. I didn't put in the effort like they did, but I was more football than I was basketball, though. But
Yeah.
I was always a football guy when it come to sports. But at the end of the day, a lot of these kids deserve a little bit of love, and I thought they deserved a little bit of love tonight. So
You always been the black sheep, huh?
I've been the black sheep of the sports world. Let me just say, I'm more of the football guy / podcast /
Yeah, yeah.
I like to
I just
talk
had to
about
mess with
things.
you, Mr. Black
Oh, I
Sheep.
know, man. That's the way it goes sometimes. But it happens.
All right.
It happens to all of us.
All right, guys, we will move on and get to our game day pick'ems. I've got 12 games here. I could have picked 2 or 3 more. There's a full slate this weekend, I
Good
think, of
slate.
games.
Actually, a good slate of games this week.
There is. There's
And
there's a full
there's a lot
slate
of
of
these
games.
and there's a lot of these games. It's depending on conference tournament champion. Well,
Oh
regular
yeah,
season.
like it's
Regular
getting down
season
to the
champion.
nitty gritty. There is basically this weekend game and 2 more games left for the big conferences. The little conferences
Mhm.
are starting up conference playoff or conference tournaments.
By the
So
way,
this weekend
quick shout out.
or on Monday.
Quick shout out. App State clinched the outright Sun Belt tonight for the first time ever. So
Yep.
shout out to the Mountaineers.
Yeah,
That's a really good.
the smaller tournaments start on Monday.
They do. The A-Sun starts Monday.
Yep. All right. So the first game we're going to talk about, John, is Florida at South Carolina. South Carolina is a 1.5 or 2-point favorite. Depend on which site you're looking at. I've got 1.5 on here. I do use DraftKings, and it's at South Carolina. And these are 2 teams that's the top 6 in the SEC and battling for the top 4 positions. So this is a big game in the SEC.
This is a really big game. This might be one of my favorite games of the week. Florida has a lot of different scores that can score the basketball. The thing with this game to me is the Gamecocks, they have really good rim defense. It's pretty stout. Their perimeter defense is really good. Boxing out Florida is going to be the key to this game. I think South Carolina ranks 41st in opponents' rebounds per game. I'm confident they'll limit some of that, but they've got to put a body on some of these Florida guys because Florida is a really good physical team, and they're playing as good as anybody right now. They're shooting the ball probably 50% from the field right now. Pulling's probably got one of the best pull-up games in the country. They got Walter Clayton Jr., the transfer from Iona. So they got a really good, fun team to watch. And in the top 5 of the SEC race is going to be absolutely ridiculous the last, 3 games because it's going to move back and forth. What's up, Tanya? It's going to move back and forth pretty much every single week up until next Saturday. So, but to add to what you was wanting, I think South Carolina wins this game, but I do think that Florida covers. I think Florida has a lot more to win here because I don't think South Carolina's going to lose much in the standings overall because they're pretty much set in that 2-3 seed slot. So I think this game's more important for Florida than it is South Carolina.
Well, South Carolina went into Texas A&M and got a big win midweek on the road at Texas A&M and went in and got a big win. South Carolina had lost a couple of games. Kind of the edge was kind of coming off a little bit, for the national media with South Carolina coming back home here and getting this win would be huge.
Would definitely.
Florida is a very, very good team. They are extremely efficient offensively as well. I know you talked about the rebounding and some of the things that they do, but they are
what makes Florida. What I tell people this: what makes Florida so dangerous is because you cannot leave them open.
They are extremely efficient offensively.
You look at the Alabama game. Alabama was like pushing them to the cusp, and every single time Alabama made a move, Florida would answer. This is not your average Florida team. Todd Golden, what he's done down there is quite remarkable, and I think I know there'll be I know Lamont Paris might be the SEC Coach of the Year this year, but I think Todd Golden deserves some honors as well. He's took this Gator team to a new level this year with the offense that they got and such.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these coaches are fairly new coaches in the SEC. Both have done great jobs. Second-year coaches, I believe, for both. And I'm going to give the edge here. I'm going to take South Carolina and lay the 1.5 at home. But this game could go either way, to be honest.
Yep.
The next game we're going to talk about is Kansas is at Baylor. Baylor at home is a 4.5-point favorite over Kansas, which sounds very odd to say, but Kansas is probably going to be without McCullough.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not a good team without McCullough.
Yeah, he missed the other night. They got beat at home. This Kansas team has 6 Big 12 losses, and that ties the most that Bill Self has ever had.
I'll say this. If this game is close down the stretch, I think Baylor has more talented guards than Kansas does to win this game. And they have 5 other players that average double figures. My biggest concern with Kansas, and I've said this for 3 weeks, we've talked about it over and over, their road woes, their depth, especially on the bench. They just don't – it's just not your normal Kansas team that you're used to seeing with Bill Self. And I think it's going to catch up with them this weekend. And I think Baylor wins this game by the 4.5 points.
It's really hard to pick against Kansas. Everybody in the country still has them in the 2 slot in the seeds. And I don't understand it. I really don't get it, to be honest with you. But gosh, with them being without Kevin McCullough Jr.,
they're just not the same team without him. They're just not.
I'm gonna have to go Baylor at home, even though I'm laying 4.5 points here. That kind of seems like a lot, but I think I'm gonna go Baylor in this one.
So we're going the same this week. That's a good sign.
So far.
So far.
All right, we're going to go Big Ten. I didn't do any Big Ten games last week, so I tried to put in a couple of – I realized after I'd done it that I didn't do any Big Ten games last week, so I tried to pick out a couple of Big Ten games. This one is Illinois at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, unbelievably, is hanging on to the 4-seed line. I completely don't get that one. I know they had some good wins early in the season, but, man, they've had a lot of losses.
And they lost to Indiana, which Indiana's not a good basketball team this year. The only 2 teams they beat recently have been Maryland and Ohio State. And let's be fair. Ohio State might be a little bit better than Maryland, but that's not saying as much. But Wisconsin is in a free-for-all, man. It's hard to pick against Illinois, though, because of Terrence Shannon Jr., just the way he plays. Just, he's playing like an All-American this year. But I will say this. Wisconsin is tough to beat at the Kohl Center. That's a tough environment to play.
2.5 points in this game, and that one kind of surprised me.
It does me too. But I think I'm going to go Wisconsin this game. I think I'm going to go a different route. I think, they need this game more than Illinois does, I think. So give me Wisconsin in the 2.5 points. I think they get it done Saturday.
Okay. I'm good. I'm taking Illinois. Wisconsin just hasn't played good for the last
They haven't, but most times out of not, you're due a good win, and I think that's going to happen this weekend. So,
all right. Well, like I said, until it's like a show me time for
I
Wisconsin.
get it.
Until
I
you
get it.
show me, I just can't do it.
I get it. I get
All
it.
right. So I went to the Pac-12. I pulled this game out of the Pac-12. We've got Oregon at Arizona. Oregon does not have a terrible record. They just the Pac-12 doesn't really have very many power teams, and because of that, they're not in the field. But they're like 19-7 or 19-8 or something like that. I mean, they don't have a terrible record, but Arizona 14-point favorite in this game at home.
And I'll say this too: Arizona's playing for a 1 seed right now.
They are
that last number 1 seed. So they still got a lot to play for. Arizona is really difficult to beat in the McHale Center. Balo's been a force inside lately. The only loss they've really truly had as of recent has been Washington State. And Washington State's a really good basketball team. They're a tournament team. So that's not a knock on Arizona either. So the mismatch to me is on the perimeter. Caleb Love, he's just at another level right now. He's playing about as good as anybody. And Oregon does just not have a guy that can stop Love. And I think that's what happens this weekend. And I think Arizona wins by the 14. Oregon's not going to the McHale Center, and they're not winning this game. I don't care
know about winning, but 14 seems really high to me.
It does, but Arizona's tough at the McHale Center.
But I've watched Arizona, and they can be so.
I have too, but they are. But usually after a loss,
talent, and they can run you out of the gym over a 6-8 minute period, and then all of a sudden in the same game, they act like they can't score.
I think, and here's my take on Arizona. I think they're too dependent on Caleb Love, and I think there's issues there where they're just too dependent on what he does when other guys need to step up and take control of the game. And I think Love tries to do too much.
That, but they have Lawson. They have some other players out there, man, that are really, really good players.
Well, and two, Arizona tries to do too much late in the game. Caleb Love, he made that shot against Washington State. He tries to do too much. And if he tries to do that in the tournament, it's going to cost him.
There are times when you're watching Arizona, John, where they look like Alabama's offense. Like they could run with Alabama.
They do.
And then all of a sudden in the same half, you're like, what the hell happened? Like how did they they scored like 8 points in the last 10 minutes. And you're like,
they're unpredictable. They're unpredictable at times. I agree.
So that's my thing with Arizona. I know they're fighting for a 1 seed, so I'm going to take Arizona. But I'm going to tell you right now, those 14 points scare me on this one. If I was really betting, this, I probably would take the points with Oregon.
Yep. That's what I would do. Yeah.
Probably. All right. So the next game, I went to the Big East. We got Marquette at Creighton. Creighton is a 4.5-point favorite at home. They played St. John's last weekend. We talked about them. They were a favorite. They went into St. John's and laid an egg after demolishing, after beating UConn, demolishing them. Really, I mean, honestly, they had a 25-point lead.
There's nobody in the country right now playing better than Marquette. And that's just a fact. They whipped Providence. I think it was what 50-26 in the first half. And they led by, I think, as many as 28. Shot 56% from the field. I don't know the status of Tyler Kolek. Don't know if he's going to play Saturday, but he most likely will. Creighton might win this game. But God, man, Creighton is so unpredictable. Which Creighton team are you going to get? Like, are you going to get the Creighton team that whipped UConn? Or are you going to get the Creighton team that lost to St. John's? Like,
Well,
it's
so the Creighton team that whipped UConn was at home. The Creighton team that looked like crap was at St. John's. So
yeah, I get that, but you still they're up. They're so up and down, up and down. I hate to pick against Marquette this week. But I'm not going to. I'm taking Marquette in the points. I think Creighton is, Creighton's just too up and down for me. I'm just not a believer in
I'm going
them.
to take Creighton at home and lay the 4.5. That's what I'm going to do. I think Creighton is a really, really good team, especially at home. The problem is in the tournament's not at home. So,
different ball game, different environment. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to the ACC. I've got a couple games in the ACC. This is a good rivalry game here between North Carolina State and North Carolina. State is behind. I mean, they're like 17-12 or something like that. They're going to need a lot of help to get in the tournament. This is a game that if they could go into North Carolina and win, might help them at least raise them up a little bit.
Well, for me,
they're not going to be in, but it might raise them up a little bit. But North Carolina is a 12-point favorite here.
For me, this game means more to North Carolina State than it does North Carolina because they're playing for the bubble basically. They're on that flat line like
they're
T3,
playing to get to the bubble.
T3 bracketology calls it a flat bubble. They're laying there flat right now, and they need this win. The biggest thing that concerns me in North Carolina recently is their 3-point defense has not been good at all. Their defense is kind of slacked off from the last couple of games. They haven't really played that well at times. But, man, R.J. Davis, when he gets into a zone, I'm telling you, man.
Man, the other night, I don't know if you watched that game where he put up 42 or not, but I did.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, Zach Edey is probably going to win National Player of the Year. But I'll say this much. If anybody deserves some honors, it's R.J. Davis. The kid can flat shoot the basketball. And he can take over a game at any time. And I think, he's impossible to guard. He's hard to defend. He just put it on Miami. What was it? Tuesday night? No, Monday night. And it seemed like every time he got the ball, he made plays. And
he scored 21 points in each half. He had 42 points in the game.
I'm going to take North Carolina State in the points. Just because North Carolina has struggled a little bit.
It is a rivalry game. I think North Carolina State's going to be up for it. They're going to be pushing to try to get this win. I do think North Carolina wins the game.
I do too.
But I'm with Shane here. I'm going to take North Carolina State to cover the 12 points in this game. All right, in this one, we're going back to the SEC. We have Mississippi State at Auburn. Auburn is coming off of a rough loss at Tennessee where Dalton Knecht just went nuclear at the end of the game, scoring 25 points in the last 10 minutes on his own and outscoring Auburn.
Auburn, to me, has been really shaky lately. They're 2-3 in their last 5 games, but my gosh, man, when they play at Neville Arena, though, they turn into the '98 Bulls. Like it's impressive to watch. But on the other side, Mississippi State, they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. They have the defense to stay in this game and could possibly win it. It all depends on Josh Hubbard and Tulu Smith, I think. If Josh Hubbard can hit some shots, I think they can stay in this game.
Well, if Josh Hubbard plays like he did against us the other night, he put up 34 against us.
Mississippi State won the first meeting. But I think Auburn wins this one. But I do think they're going to stay in this game because Mississippi State plays really good defense. Their defense will keep them in this game. But give me Mississippi State and the points to cover.
I think that's where I was going to go, man. I mean, Tolo Smith and Hubbard are playing really well. Matthews is tough down low, tough defender.
And here's the thing. How do they react at Auburn after how they lost Tuesday night?
Both of these teams are coming off of losses. Kentucky gave Mississippi State a very tough home loss.
Mm-hmm.
And then Auburn's coming off of a tough away loss at Tennessee.
Yep.
So both of these teams are coming off losses. Both of them really need to win. Auburn is hanging on in a tie for that fourth place. And Mississippi State is, while I think they're probably in, they're now 8-7 in the SEC.
I think
they got 3 games left.
I think Mississippi State gets in, but I would be more comfortable if they could at least just win.
If they could get this one right here. If they could get this one at Auburn, I think they lock in.
Just to feel safe. Yeah.
I think if they get this win at Auburn, I think they lock in.
I think they're locked if they win this game. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my opinion. I'm gonna do what you did. I'm gonna take Mississippi State and take the 9.5 points. I just don't see Auburn winning this plus 10, even though it is at home. And the Jungle's a tough place to play.
Very tough. Very tough.
All right, I'm going back to the ACC for this one. And we've got Virginia at Duke. And Duke is an 8.5 point favorite in this one at Cameron Indoor.
I don't know, man. Virginia is so unpredictable.
42, 44, 47.
They struggle to score so much. And Duke and North Carolina,
they won a game by scoring 49.
This kind of feels like the North Carolina game in a way that Virginia is going to play, because North Carolina likes to run, Duke likes to run. They just cannot put up points consistently. They're 14th in the ACC in points per game, in scoring. They rank 4th in the ACC in scoring defense. Now, you tell me, I trust their defense better than I do their offense. And their offense just ain't getting it done. And
I'll be honest with you. I don't see Virginia being able to hang with Duke. Roach is playing some really good ball. Probably the best that he's played at Duke lately. Yep. I think.
And McCain's playing as good as anybody too.
McCain is playing really well. And
what's the spread on this?
8.5.
I think I'll take that. I do. Especially at Duke.
8.5.
Especially at Duke.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the 8.5 as well and take Duke in this one.
I don't trust. Now, I'll say this. I trust Virginia's defense in March, but I don't trust their offense in March. Because offense, you got to score to win some games. You just have to.
Yeah, you can't score in the 40s and win games. Come on now.
Can't do it.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Can't do it.
All right. My next one is going back to the Big Ten. I said I pulled 2 games from the Big Ten. This is the second one. This is a big game out of the Big Ten this weekend. You got Michigan State at Purdue. Purdue is a 9.5 point favorite here.
Who's had worse luck than Michigan State so far? They had a couple games there, and then they had, the Ohio State game where they won on a buzzer beater shot. Man, it just seemed like Michigan State was getting better. And then all of a sudden, it just like they go.
Yeah, they've lost some tough games.
One step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. It just seems like every
They
single
can
time.
pick off Purdue at home. I mean, people are saying, Michigan State's still like what, a 7 seed or an 8 seed or something like that?
Around that area,
being projected. And people
I'm going to say this for my buddy in the group chat. Color. Color. He's a big Michigan State fan. I believe they get in, but they're not going to win this game. And I say that because playing at Mackey is a hard place to play. Not many teams go into Purdue and win. I just say that. Purdue is playing at a level right now that I've not seen them, since last year in the regular season. But even then, I think they're a better team this year than there was last year. I think just their maturity, their experience, I think they just got better overall schemes of what they do offensively. I just think they're a better basketball team than they was a year ago. And not to mention they got Zach.
Definitely not on the bubble. They're around an 8 seed. They're
not
a 9 seed.
They're not on the bubble, but the more games you lose.
Yeah, but losing one at Purdue against Purdue is not going to hurt them.
No, I don't think that's going to hurt them because
unless they get beat 40 points.
Because you're losing to a quality opponent. You're not going to.
Yeah.
You're not really going to fall down any farther than what you already are. So, I think I'm going to take Purdue in the 9.5. Michigan State is just so up and down. But I'll say this though on this regard: could you imagine being a 2 seed or a 1 seed and seeing Michigan State in an 8, 9, or 7, 10 game?
That's what's going to happen.
That's what's going to happen. And
yeah,
you're thinking, oh boy, we get Michigan State.
You don't want to face Izzo in that first round. I'm telling you.
No, you do not. Look what happened last year. Marquette was the 2 seed, and Michigan State went in there and beat them, went all the way to the Sweet 16. So Izzo's good in March. I give him that. He's really good in March.
I'm going to take the 9.5 points and take and roll with Michigan. I think here, Michigan State.
You do that. Listen, man. I love Michigan State, but they're playing at Mackey Arena.
I know they are, but
do you realize how tough it is to win at that place?
Is playing for their life.
I get that. I do, but do you realize how tough of an environment that place is? That's a really tough place to play.
It is, but I think I'm taking Michigan State.
Maybe one of the best home environments in all of college basketball.
Go Sparty. All right, man. We're going back to the SEC. This might be the biggest game of the weekend.
Biggest game of the year.
This is 2 teams that are tied the top of the SEC conference and the winner here is going to have a huge leg up to be the number 1 seed and to win.
Does Alabama ever miss? Does Alabama ever miss at home? Because every time they play at home, they never miss. Like
I know Alabama's a 2.5 point favorite, but I'm going to tell you, I am a huge Kentucky fan. I despise Tennessee, but I'm going to tell you, Dalton Connect is a fun watch. If you were not watching the last 10 minutes of Tennessee versus Auburn, shame on you, because that kid was sensational.
Took over the game.
He was sensational, guys. I mean, you were just talking about Zach Edey and RJ Davis. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not so sure that Dalton Connect is not going to be in that conversation by the end. Like, he just keeps building that resume.
I want to say something real quick.
and doing amazing stuff.
Joshua Hart said Purdue only won by 8 when they played at Michigan. But let's be fair, Michigan's not on the same level as Michigan State. Let's kind of tone that down a little bit. Michigan is really, really bad. He's talking about the home and away splits. Like Michigan's a really bad basketball team. They're just not good. So that's like comparing apples to oranges, to be honest. Michigan State is a completely better team than Michigan. I just leave it at that. But Dalton Connect, if he goes in there and he wins this weekend, you got to give him the player of the year. Even if he don't, I think he wins the player of the year.
If you're talking about SEC player of the year, I think he's pretty much already got that one locked up.
I mean,
and I'll be honest with you, Cal made a statement this week. Who's playing better than Antonio Reeves? You know what my absolute first thought was?
Dalton Connect.
Have you not watched Dalton Connect?
Yep.
That's exactly what I thought.
Really good.
And I'm a Kentucky fan, okay?
I'm gonna say this about this game. This is going to be one of the most electric environments that Alabama has ever been a part of, and probably in a long, long, long time. And they're going to be revved up. College Game Day is going to be there. Jay Billis is going to be there. Dan Schulman's going to be there. This is a legit top game of the week. Like, there's probably a couple other games, but this game is the game of the week. The only thing that concerns me about this game is Tennessee struggles to defend the three-point shot on the road. And if they do that, Alabama wins this by double digits.
He did have 39, Shane.
He did have 39.
25 in the last 10
like I
minutes.
said, if Tennessee struggles to defend the three-point line in this game, Alabama's winning this by double digits. So,
okay.
But give me Alabama, roll tide. And that's not because I hate Tennessee. That's just the fact that it's in Alabama and they hardly ever lose in Coleman. They're tough to beat at home.
So you're taking Bama at home, huh?
I'm taking Bama. Rolling with the tide, baby. Blitz, Bama, blitz.
Man, listen. Anybody that knows me,
don't give a dang about the tide, baby.
Anybody that knows me, and I mean anybody that really knows me, knows how much I really don't like, and that's an easy way of saying it, Tennessee. Okay? But man, I'm telling you, well, Bama, I agree with you that at home they play really well.
Mm.
I'm having some technical issues here. I can't get that off.
I will say this, Clyde. He said something. He said everybody overlooks Reeves. Well, I hate to say this, Clyde, and I'm a Kentucky fan, but there's more players than Kentucky out there that are playing as good as Reeves. And that's not no knack. That's just being observant. Sears is playing really well. Dalton Connect's playing well. Josh Hubbard's playing well for Mississippi State. There's just a lot of guys out there besides Reeves that's doing what. And, if this was not all Dalton Connect, and
I think you got to add Sears to that.
Well, and like I said, if this wasn't them having the greatest years they was had, I believe you give it to Antonio Reeves. But Dalton Connect, it's just going to be hard to not give it to Dalton Connect. It's just hard.
All right, if you're taking Bama at home, all right, guys. I'm going to take Bama, but I'm telling you, if Dalton Connect gets going in this game, turn out the lights, the party's over.
It's going to be a great game.
I'm just telling you. Turn out the lights, the party's over. All right. Houston is a 6-point favorite on the road. And just for the record, this is the only game out of these 12 where the road team was favored.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't agree with this one. I just don't. Houston has a really good defensive team. And the problem with Oklahoma is they're just not a great shooting team. And Houston's going to limit a lot of that. And man, I don't like this. I don't like the spread. It's too high for me.
6-point spread.
Oh, wait a minute. Oklahoma's not favored, right?
No. It's Houston that's
okay.
favored.
Never mind then. I started to say, well, why are they favored? You got me confused for a minute. But even that
that's favored. They're the only road team out of all these games that was favored.
That's actually too low for me. Any two. I think Houston wins this game by double digits. Don't get me wrong, I like Oklahoma. I think they got a really good player in Javion McCollum. They got some really good talent on that team. Porter Moser has done a really good job with this team this year, but they're too inconsistent shooting the basketball. And you can't be that way when you play a team like Houston because they play really great defense. And Houston's coming on as of late. They're starting to play really good too.
They are. Houston's a really, really good team. Now they did struggle a little bit in January on the road, but I think they're getting past that and beyond that here.
A lot of that
hasn't played great the last month.
Well, a lot of that they was getting accustomed to the Big 12 and they was trying to figure things out. And
I agree with you.
That happens.
I mean, I just can't go against Houston here, even though this is a road game. I'm gonna lay the 6 points.
Yeah, I am too.
And take Houston in this one, I believe.
All those points.
I mean, their defense is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It's really good.
I mean, all right, going to the West Coast. I normally pick.
Is this the last game?
This is the last game of the 12 that I had picked. We might throw in and talk a little bit about the Kentucky game coming up here. But
there's really not a lot to talk about. There's not really a lot to talk about there. I mean, the game.
I didn't put Kentucky on here because we're playing Arkansas, guys. So if you're a Kentucky fan and you're here and you're thinking we always do, but Arkansas is not a good team, guys. So I always try to pick the best games of the week.
They're really not.
And I did not put Kentucky on the list. However, I have been putting some Mountain West games on the list, but and going to the West Coast. This time, I'm technically going to the West Coast Conference here. We got Gonzaga versus at St. Mary's. St. Mary's beat them at Gonzaga earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
St. Mary's a 2.5-point favorite. So if they win this game, they will win the West Coast Conference regular season title.
Here's the thing. St. Mary's doesn't want to lose this game at home. But for me, just moving forward, this game means a lot more to Gonzaga because if Gonzaga loses this game, do they have to make a run the WCC to even get in? Because the only great win that they got is the Kentucky game. Do they get in? Do they get in? That's the question. Would they leave Gonzaga out if they lose? I don't know, man.
They're top 20 in the net rankings.
I'll say this.
Right now they're top 20. They're 19 in the net rankings.
St. Mary's.
There's no way, John, that they're being left out in the top 20 of the net rankings.
I agree with you, but they don't have a lot of great wins. I can just tell you, it's very
They're still
far
19 somehow.
St. Mary's is the 1 seed in this tournament. They're going to be the 1 seed. I think they're pretty much a lock to be in the tournament. The only non-lock that you really have to wonder about is Gonzaga. And I know that you said with their net ranking, which it's been 19 for about 2 weeks. So, man, wouldn't you hate to be one of the NCAA committee guys and have to sit there and look at that Gonzaga resume and Kentucky be the only big win they got? Like, that's – and let's be real. Gonzaga hasn't missed a tournament since, what, 98?
Yeah, I mean, they made every one of them. They're 24 in a row or 28 in a row or something like that.
I don't want to be the guy that has to decide the fate of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. I'll just tell you, I don't want to be that guy. I'm glad they have a committee instead of me because, I mean, that.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I know there's been some talk that they may miss this tournament, but with their net rankings being that high, I have never – if you were in the top 30, you're almost guaranteed in the NCAA tournament.
I don't even think there's a team in the top 30 that's not even made it before, has there? Maybe one.
I don't believe so. I believe the lowest is like 34 or 35 or 33 or something like that.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the top 30, you're going to make the NCAA tournament. I mean, there's just no way.
But to get to your prediction, where's this game at? St. Mary's?
It's at St. Mary's.
I like the revenge factor, but man,
it's a tough place to play. They don't lose very much at home.
They don't lose very much at home. They don't. No. I'm going to take St. Mary's. I think they get it done. The 2.5. I think this is going to be a really close game. I don't think it's going to be nowhere near a blowout. I like the revenge factor here for Gonzaga, but man, St. Mary's has come alive as of late, and they're playing really, really good basketball. And I think they win this game.
I'm going to take the revenge factor here, even though I think St. Mary's is a tough place, and they're probably going to get this win. There's just something inside of me that says that few's going to get them going here to come in.
I'll add to this. I wouldn't want to beat Gonzaga if they lose this game, though, because they're going into the WCC tournament next week, and they're playing with fire because they either win the tournament or they got to sit or lose a game in the WCC.
Speaking of the WCC tournament, if you don't know, check out their brackets and the way their tournament is set up. I love the way they set up the WCC tournament. It is – just check it out. I don't know exactly what they call it, but it's different. It's not a seeding like 5 through 12 playing. You know, they don't do that. The 1 seed is all the way out. And there's winners along that move up. You just check out their bracket. The way they do it is really, really cool.
It's cool, yeah. Here, like I said, here's where I draw the line at, though. If Gonzaga loses Saturday night, you're probably most likely going to be the 2 seed in that bracket. And what happens is if they lose in that conference tournament, their first game, say they lose the first game, they're going to have to sit and wait till Selection Sunday and sweat everything out. And
I don't see them losing the first game.
I don't either.
But I mean, I'm going to take Gonzaga in this game and give me the 2.5 points, but I'm not real confident in that, to be honest.
I'm not either. I did pick St. Mary's, but I don't know. This game's difficult because you got the revenge factor in it, and then you got the idea that St. Mary's is really tough to beat at home. So,
all right. Real quick, if you ask me, and I know there's some Kentucky fans on here, and I have been saying that it was a 3-man race. We had we had a comment about it being Dalton Connect, Sears, or Antonio Reeves for the SEC Player of the Year. And I've been saying that all along, but I'm going to tell you, I really feel like on Wednesday night, Dalton Connect wrapped that up.
Yep, he did.
I do. His performance Wednesday night was spectacular. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go on record even more. I think he can push that National Player of the Year. I don't think he's going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
Zach Edey's probably going to win that one again.
I don't think he's going to win it. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to take it that far. But I think he's going to be in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
First team All-American.
Yep.
It's on the board.
But I'll say this on top of that, Reeves and Sears, they deserve their flowers as well, though. They've had some really good
years. They do. I love Reeves, man. And Reeves has been spectacular for us. He has scored 20-plus points in like 16 or 17 games. He's been spectacular for us. But Dalton Connect has been plus 30 like 6 or 7 times.
I want to say something before we get off here tonight. The whole Arkansas game, I get everybody was wanting to, but Arkansas is just not a really good basketball team. You expect to win this game tomorrow. That's not what I want to talk about.
You got to control battle and throw Brazil, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
What
I want to talk about is the homegrown kid, Reed Sheppard.
Beautiful.
Many kids.
Beautiful.
Any kid in America would love to be in the position that Reed is in, playing for his homegrown team.
No, John, you need to rephrase that. Any kid that was born in the state of Kentucky.
In the born state of Kentucky, yeah. I don't know why I said that. I got tongue-tied.
Yeah.
Any kid that is born in the state of Kentucky would love to be in the position that Reed Sheppard is in right now.
To be capitalizing on it is
unreal. And the way he handled the game Tuesday night, he was poised down the stretch. He never flinched. His hands are always in the passing lane. He's always making plays with his defense. He's always hitting big shots when they need him. He hit a 3. What was it with like 7 or 8 minutes to go that cut the lead to like 2 or 1?
I mean, 3. I know I was talking about Dalton Connect, but Reed Sheppard scored 11 points in the last minute and a half.
Is there ever a kid that Kentucky has ever fell in love with more than they have than Reed Sheppard?
Well, I mean, yes.
You've had Rex Chapman. You've had some of those guys.
Rex Chapman was a phenomenon, man. You probably don't quite remember Rex Chapman.
Played at Apollo.
But Rex Chapman, there's nobody in my lifetime that can compete with the hype that Rex Chapman had. Nobody. Not inside the state of Kentucky. And Reed Sheppard's doing great, but he don't hold a candle to what was going on with Rex Chapman.
And plus, it was a different era too, though. It was, there was a different time. It was a different, a lot of things. They wasn't social media.
Rex Chapman cram-packed gymnasiums everywhere he went. I mean, when I'm saying there was 1,000 people outside of the arena that couldn't even get in. It was like rock star stuff.
Well,
it was unreal.
And then you had Richie Farmer that came on from Clay County. He was another one.
Richie Farmer was really big in the state of Kentucky.
You had Darren Feldhouse. You had Pelfrey. There's a lot of them, the unforgettables.
Yeah.
And then now you got Reed Sheppard.
But I think Sheppard can get to the places like where Feldhouse, Pelfrey, and and the
Yeah,
Unforgettables. I mean, you got to win the
You know,
title. You got to win
I
the
tell you,
title.
I tell you a funny story. I always hear it all the time about Richie Farmer. They used to have they did a call-in show, and everybody would call in, and somebody would call in, and they'd say, "Is Richie going to play tonight?"
Yeah.
Like it was a big deal back then. Like it was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was.
Absolutely.
It was
Every
like,
time there was fans that would call in and say that. Absolutely.
is Richie going to play tonight? Yeah, it was. It was a big deal back then, and thing back then it was less social media than it is now. Reed's getting the
They wanted
beneficiary
Richie to
of.
start. Is Richie going to start tonight?
Is Richie going to start tonight? That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And the thing is, like then, social media wasn't prevalent like it is
Yeah, but
today.
did you catch at the beginning of this year one of the radio shows? Richie Farmer called in to the pregame and joked around with him, and they said, "This is Richie from Clay County," and they didn't know it was Richie Farmer until he started talking. And his question was, "Is Reed going to start tonight?" It was so funny.
It was pretty good. But that's all I want to say. I just want to say thank you all for joining us tonight. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Brad. He's going to the SEC tournament next week. We'll probably have a show Tuesday night, but we're not sure if
I don't know exactly what my shows are going to look like next week because I got to see if I'm going to have a good enough internet to do anything down there.
We do know that we're going to have a Tuesday show.
I know that I'm going to be like recording some stuff, maybe even some interviews, some taking a bunch of pics and doing a whole lot of work. So look for my work, Greenville Sports Media, and that kind of stuff. I just don't know about the podcast and if I'm going to be able to do a whole lot yet. But a couple of things before we go off tonight. I do want to get to this. Ohio State and Iowa are possibly playing the biggest Big Ten basketball game on the women's side of basketball ever on Sunday afternoon. Caitlin Clark, who announced this week that she is leaving Iowa and not coming back for her COVID year.
Can't blame her.
She could have came back for a COVID year, but she announced this week year and going pro. This is going to be her senior day.
You know why I don't blame her though.
She's 18 points shy of Pistol Pete's all-time NCAA scoring record, guys, on senior day in Iowa, and the tickets are going for damn near $500 a piece.
A pop.
And if you've got any basketball blood in you at all, this game should matter. That's all I'm going to say.
But I don't blame her much. She's done what she's had to do in college. She's proved who she is. She's proved that she's one of the best players of all time, maybe the best of all time.
The Indiana Fever have the number one WNBA pick, and they got Aaliyah Boston.
They'd be crazy not to take her first.
And they got Aaliyah Boston already. Can you imagine Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston on the same team?
It's pretty impressive.
The way that girl can pass, she's got 17 triple-doubles, guys. It's not just all scoring.
And to add to what you said about Caitlin Clark, this coming week, a lot of the women's side of conference tournaments are starting. They start before the men's do, and they usually get done. Now, some of the little tournaments, they're during the men's at times, but
they are. But the bigger conferences are usually the week before.
Are usually the week before. So
yeah,
I'll be definitely watching the Sunday game to be short.
I'm telling you, Sunday in Iowa is where it's at. I can't wait to watch this game.
Me either.
I cannot wait to watch this game. You were talking about Reed Shepherd. And is there anybody like Reed Shepherd? There is. Her name
It's Caitlin
is
Clark.
Caitlin Clark. She's from Iowa, bred Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yep.
And she is loved. I mean, the mania there for Caitlin Clark. You watch the little girls that want her to sign something for her or for them. The mania there.
You know what? You know what it kind of reminds me of? You said mania. It reminded me of Hulkamania when Hulk had all that stuff.
I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. It is mania. That's exactly what it is.
It's sort of like when all the Hulksters would wear their shirts and T-shirts. Like it was a big deal. It's a big deal now with Caitlin Clark. Real American heroes.
I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what it is, man.
Just like
I had to bring it up on the show. I am, I'm covering women's basketball now, and there is nothing going to be better on Sunday than Iowa State, who beat Iowa at Ohio State earlier this year, and is number 2 in the nation.
Yeah, and the NCAA women's tournament's going to be good too. So
Iowa's dropped to 7. We got about 3 or 4 losses. Iowa's dropped to 7. Ohio State beat them in Ohio State. This is the return game, senior night, 18 points shy of the all-time NCAA scoring record. Any better than that?
Coleman Scott said, "You better be glad I wasn't at that game the other night."
Coleman was in Mississippi State and didn't even realize that Kentucky was there. And I had to slap him upside the head.
Next show.
All right. So my NFL show has been changed to tomorrow. The guy had something come up for Sunday, so it's been changed to tomorrow. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Central Time.
So
John,
that's 6. So that's 6 Eastern.
6 Eastern.
I'll see what's going on.
We're doing a 2-round mock draft, and the NFL Combine is closing out. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the Combine right now. It's a good time to have a mock draft. And this is going to be the first one of the season.
There's a lot of drama.
One in April, right before the draft, as well, with another guy.
Yeah. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama going at the Combine too. The
NFL Combine's going on right now. That's the reason why I scheduled it right now. Is the Combine's going on, and then we're going to have one later. After the NCAA tournament, I think it's going to be tentatively scheduled for April 21st, and we're going to do that one with the mock draft guy. He is huge on YouTube. He was on our show last year, and that'll be our big 2-round mock draft right before the Thursday before.
Ain't you excited? Hello, this is Greg Gumbel, and this is Selection Sunday. Yeah. It's like so close, you can just feel it. It's like you can just cut it with a knife. Like it's so close.
So NFL mock draft, NFL Combine has been going on this week, still going on. I think it closes out tomorrow or Sunday. The NFL Combine does, and I had to put Coleman up here. Look, he says you aren't wrong. Coleman up here. Look, he says you aren't. All right, guys, we will see you. We will see you tomorrow at 5 Central, 6 Eastern for our mock draft special with JWAC reactions from JWAC Gridiron. That's what he does on YouTube.
Sorry about that. My computer froze up. I don't know what happened, but anyways.
Oh, that's all right.
But
We're closing out. Y'all have a good night. We will
Yeah.
see you tomorrow for NFL mock draft.
yep, have a good one.